Hello, you infinite being of love and light having a human experience here on earth. I'm Jake, and in this video, we're going to do a breakdown of my remix of Ariana Grande's song, Positions. So let's hop into Ableton over here and check out what we got going on. So we got a lot of vocals here in the blue, a couple of chords, just one bass line. I like just having, a lot of times I like just having bass lines in the drops or in the pre-chorus build sections. Good amount of drums going on, and just a light amount of effects to keep things nice and fun. So, like most remixes, you start with a vocal, and it'll sound like this drive, processed it with some reverb. And this is a pretty dirty vocal rip because just of where I got it from. So there's a lot of like artifacts, and you can kind of hear the original song underneath it. But I think it kind of lends more interesting things to the ear, so it's not too big of a deal. But I rolled off all low end here. I'm just hoping I don't beat history. So there you go. You got the vocal. Then here's the piano part. So it's not MIDI information anymore because I bounced it out. But I think that was a Sanholo Serum Pack patch. I'm not 100% sure because I bounced it out of there. So I bounced it out of the original audio. And so the first half of the verse just has the vocal and that piano part, and then in the second half of the verse we have some drums coming in. So let's take a look at those. I think it's pretty simple. It's not too much. It's just a trap clap, and then some hi-hats, just some offbeat. And that's it. I think they both have some reverb on it. This one has Camel Crusher, some auto pan and chorus, and then this one has, some EQ and reverb on it. Then I also added in the vocal here a low formant vox, which again, this little altar boy come in here doing that effect. So the original, it's like this, the vocal. And then to make it more interesting and just give it a little more depth, I doubled that and then did pitch all the way down, formant all the way down. Which again, it's just like a super classic, not classic, but it's a found in so many pop songs today. So, and that comes in the second half to make it, a little bit more interesting. Now we're into the build here. Then we get into the drop. So let's take a breakdown of that build section here. So the vocals change. I took out the low formant to kind of open it up and not be so dense harmonically, so that when everything comes in the drop, it's a lot more impactful. Same chords there, but the kick comes in for the first time. Really, really basic kick thing happening here because I want to leave more room for other builds in the song to be more impactful. So this was just really simple. And then on top of that, with the percussion, we have the clap. Starting on quarter notes, building into eighth notes, and then 16ths. Just a really simple but very effective build that you hear in tons and tons of pop songs. And then I also, in that clap, I have a transposition pitch shift. So basically what that means, if you don't know what that is it goes from a gradual increase in pitch. So 12 steps, which would be an octave, is what I end up doing in this. So not only is the volume gradually increasing with this, not too much, coming from 86% to back up to 100, but the pitch, the actual, pitch that the percussion generates. You don't necessarily always think of percussion having pitch, but everything has pitch. So it just makes it a little more impactful. You can hear it. It creates a lot of tension with just a small little, graph of the pitch increase there, but I love using that. And then the other thing we have in the build is a riser from Cymatic's Odyssey. It's great. So all these elements together just make a build, essentially. Just these three simple elements. Well, four, because there's that kick. That's all it is. There's four things going on, and then the vocal, and that's what gives us that build. And so into the first drop, I have a sub drop here, and again, depending on speakers that you're listening to, you probably can't hear that sub drop with such a low frequency, but it's hyper impactful because I don't have like a fill there or anything. So now we get into the drop, and again, this is the super creative, fun part of doing remixes of pop songs. This is where you get to write your own parts. So the lead vocal there, that's just chopped up to heck in all different sorts of ways. So let's take a listen to that soloed. I also have one panned hard right and one panned hard left, just because this is the lead part of the drop, so it makes it really wide and just makes it explode when the drop comes in. Low pitch formant there. I pitched it up an octave. So that's the whole drop, the lead part of the drop section with the vocals there all chopped up, which is super fun and usually the most time you spend on it. And so here we have the chords, the drop chords. We have Serum, classic synthesization. I have a 16 unison MB saw, 16 unison, one pan hard left, and one pan hard right. And that's that. And that's the sound of the chorus. That's what gives it that sort of future bass vibe. That's so much, so many frequencies in that. And then I also doubled that up with two saw chords of that same thing. Oh, here it is, the square drop one. Here it is. And I have these pitched up a higher octave, so it's just everything's being filled out by those two things. Like, that's what's giving you the chorus effect, really, making you feel like there's so much going on. And of course, the just a nice 808 sound here with 808 bass with the sidechain compression, pretty standard there. And then so let's check out what the drums are doing. So pretty hard drum part. I mean, like it's pretty heavy in the sense of I got a lot of trap elements in here with the snares layered up. And the hi-hats, that super sharp hi-hat, which you start hearing everything. It's like super trendy thing to do right now. And I have a really supportive pattern there, and it's pretty simple, but also has a layer of complexity in there. And I used Camel Crusher, which is a saturator tool with some tube warmth on there, so it's not so sharp, even though it sounds very sharp. Still hears it without any processing. It's not super interesting. So the Camel Crusher on there gives it more, just gives it more punch, and then auto panning, a slight auto pan with some chorus effect, and that fills out that the whole hi-hat sound there, which is really integral also to the sound of the chorus. And yeah, so that's pretty much it. Kick pattern up here, trap clap, those are all the drums, and then some nice crashes coming in on the down in our effects group. in the second one, just a little bit quieter. And at the end of the chorus, a reverse crash. Just a really subtle one to kind of suck us into the next verse rather. Everything together. In the second verse, I just had a really simple drum beat carrying through, and everything else is the same, and added in a auxiliary pad. So if you watch the Justin Bieber Holy Remix video, if you haven't already, a lot of these things are similar in the sense of like the approach towards remixing a song like this, and then, you know, had a couple more elements in the second verse, and the first verse being all very sparse, and it's just, you know, kind of textbook way to approach doing a remix. And so then under here, you know, vocals again, low formant here, but in the second verse I have an extra layer of chords. Yeah, just a nice, you know, kind of ridiculous sound by itself. And those are the original chords. These are just layered up. Just give it, you know, some difference, but it's the exact same notes, exact same pattern, everything. And then the pad here. This isn't really this isn't like a counter melody necessarily. It sort of is. It's not a variation. I wouldn't really consider it a counter melody, but it's just adding more movement. And I do have the bass coming in on this section here of this. It just made sense when I was working on it. It made the most sense to put that in there to really feel like the track kept moving forward after this 8-bar section. And then we go into the second build, and I don't think there's much different between the second build and the first build. Yeah, they look like a kind of like a copy paste, but I have this fill in here, like a really gnarly fill, just to really just propel us into that, again, that next section. I annihilated it with the crusher, so with Camel Crusher. So without that, still pretty good sound, but then Annihilator just makes it super interesting with the reverb on there, and it really puts it all forward. And I kept the sub drop in there as well. Looks like we got the same riser. Again, copy paste on that build. Let the vocal do its thing. And so the fill is the only thing different on that build. Second drop, copy paste, nothing different. And now the final build here. Some stuff went down here. So we have a completely different new vocal part up here at the top. There's a lot going on in that section, so I kind of stood out of its way, and I just there's some minimal elements in there. So with the chords, all I got is just supporting it, but this is the breakdown build part, and the drums here just. And then in there I have a lot of, not on that clap, but on this I have a band. It's kind of like a band pass frequency thing, so it's not, clap's not so bright, not all the frequencies that are normally present in a clap are there, and then the kick. Similar situation, so that's just getting out of the way there, letting that really interesting vocal part that from the original ride. I got a false drop there. So okay, let's take a look at that build and go in the false drop, and then we'll be finishing up here. So in the chords, I just took the build, gradually increasing the rhythm. Same thing with the second layer of the chords. That's a crazy aggressive sound. Added the pad back in. Right? And then this kick's going nuts down here. I think I did a pitch. We'll have to take a listen. Oh, here we go. So So the kick does the pitch shift. Pretty sure the claps do. Yeah. So all the percussive elements are being pitched up there, and then we have a different crazy riser, which, we use the same riser? Oh, it's a different riser. A little more urgent. I believe in there. Yeah. I call those like alarm risers, because it sounds like there's like a siren going on underneath there. Like you're paying attention, something's coming, right? Yeah, so that thing's gnarly. And that's it. That's the final drop. And then the fill there I have for the final drop is a low formant. And then we get into that next, I call it like a false drop section, because this build. But it's nice, it gives it that break, and it's like it's very playful, because you're not expecting it to do that. You're expecting something to explode, so it's almost like you knew something was going to change, but I sort of tricked tricked the ears, of the listener, thinking that's going to be the big explosion, which makes it even more impactful when it actually comes in. So let's listen to what makes this do this. So I just kept the kick in here with all the top end gone. So it's just really just the thump of the kick, and then let's see what these snares do down here. Same thing, all top end gone on that. So that effectively makes that happen. What do I do with the bass? Basses. Yep, that fatty bass is going on underneath there. And then this is what really gives that mood. All that other stuff down there is supportive, but that really gives it this mood is the chords, the two layers of the chords that are in all the drops with I think I hand tuned. Yeah, you can see right here. Automated, that's automating the filter on it, and that's what kind of makes it all feel like it's underwater and all the frequencies are sucked dry a bit. So, and that's really the key to that sound and that effect. So when everything does come in after this these 4 bars, and the fill from earlier, everything's copy paste from the other drops, but because we have this new section here on the front of it, it makes it all really impactful. It's satisfying when it comes in. So that's it. That's what gives it that impact. The only different things at the very end of the final drop, if we take a look at the effects channel, as we have a group rather, is this impact, this big impact rather than just a normal crash. There's this just ridiculous sort of thing happen, and this nice ambience pad is what I call it. So down here I have it auto panning slightly to left and right, sidechain compressing to the kick and the snare, and it's just one note ringing out that I pitched to the key of the song, but it just gives it that extra thing, because it's the exact same as the other drops. It just gives it that nice little elevation. And there you have it. That is the breakdown of my remix of Ariana Grande's song, Positions. Much love. Don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, and share if you enjoyed this video. I appreciate all your support.